Hey listeners, my name is Elisha, the founder of the Witnesses podcast. It's so beautiful to have you listening to our podcast, and I want you to know something that means a whole lot to me. Thank you for tuning in. And one thing I love to tell all of our listeners is it's not just about you listening, but listening to understand. Understanding is the most important thing, so important. So you have to listen, learn, and practice. Thank you so very much and happy listening.
City, your state, your community, I tell you that's just the only way. You've got to know it isn't gonna collapse because God is able to sustain my marriage. Had it been he or she can see, he or she will be able to tell that this person is innocent. We are the enemies. You get it now? That's why you see Jesus said, love your enemies. Do good to them that hurt you. Because Jesus understands. Glory be to God in the highest, the Father of mercies. Good, beautiful evening to you all. God bless you abundantly, and it is well with you in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you so very much, guys, for always creating out time to listening to our podcast. You know, like I say all the time, and it has even become an anthem. Thank you so very much, and it means a whole lot to me. The fact that there are diverse people listening across the globe, it means so much to me that what I am doing, there are people who it actually means so much to. You know, all the way from India, United States, South Africa, Ghana, France, Belgium, and so on that I can't even continue to mention. It means a whole lot to me. Thank you so very much. Thank you guys for always listening. Thank you. Alright, you know, it is Friday and that's a new episode. Da-da-da-da-da. Alright, so the title for our podcast this beautiful evening is What if your capabilities exceeds your perception? That's a long title, right? Alright, let me make it more clearer. It simply means, what if you can actually do 10,000 times better than you're doing now? You see, I want you to listen to this podcast with an open heart. And you're going to offend me, in a minute, if you listen to this podcast alone. So I bet you don't want to offend me. Share it with your friends and families because they also need to benefit from this knowledge. I dare you, don't keep this stuff to yourself only. Share it with your friends and families, even your enemies if you have one, because we don't have enemies. You know, I've actually taught us that particular stuff about enemies and all of that. The title, if you can remember, title, The Human Enemy, where I was talking to us on how we don't have a human enemy. You know, when you're trying to look at it from physical or this humanic standpoint, you say, I've got enemies. But when you're trying to look at it from God's own viewpoint, you have no human enemies. Alright, that's not the title for today. Okay, so let us proceed. Share with your friends and families. They've got to listen to this beautiful stuff. Okay, you know, like I used to say this stuff literally most times if I'm talking to people. I say, in order to understand the end completely, in order to have the complete understanding of the end, you need to go back to the beginning. Me looking at the human race, this particular humanic species, all I see is confusion, chaos, disorderliness, and foolishness. At times, even animals are more smarter than us. So this led me to doing a little research. You know, it's always little research. And I discovered some beautiful stuff that I am about to share with you today. Okay. In order to know what you're capable of doing and how much of that stuff you're capable of doing, you first need to understand something. And the thing is, why am I here? Why are you on this planet? That's a very deep question that not many people knows the answer. Okay, in order to understand why you are on this planet, you first need to ask yourself, why did God create this planet? God created this planet. Why did He create this planet? You might be like, what sort of question is that? But I have the answer. I did the research for you, and I want you to listen, not just by yourself, but with your friends and families. Just share the link, share it with your friends and families. Alright, let us begin. God created this planet for a particular reason. But in order to understand why God created this planet, we need to understand who God Himself is. That's a deep stuff, because we cannot totally get who God is, because the Bible tells us He lives forever. He is never going to die, so that means He is infinite. Something that doesn't have an end. So since it doesn't have an end, then it is impossible to have the complete understanding of that stuff that doesn't have an end. But what do we know? We could only know the things that His book told us about Him. Are you following? Okay, so in His book, in God's book, He said to us that I am a king. He made us understand that He is a king. Whoa, amazing, isn't it? Alright, I want you to understand something. God is not a religious being. I love to say this all the time. God is not a religious being. God has got no business with your religion. Religion came as a result of men searching for that stuff that they lost. They're trying to fill that void with something. They know they lost something, and now they're trying to fill that void. And this stuff gave birth to religion. Religion is simply man's search for God. Okay, we understand that there is a supreme being. Let us orchestrate this way, alright, to search for Him. Or let us orchestrate this way to worship Him. Let us orchestrate this way to look for His eyes. That's what religion is all about. That's what gave birth to religion. So, God is not a religious being. I've said this on a podcast I did some weeks back. I said God is not a religious being. God is a political being. Because He told us in His book, He said, I am a king. Alright, let's go check His book. Alright, turn your Bibles to me to the book of Psalm. Let's start from the 47th chapter. And the 7th verse. Listen, he said, for God is the king of all the earth. That tells us that God is a king. Remember, lift up your head so you get, even lift them up, you everlasting doors, and the what? King of glory shall come in. That tells us that God is a king. Okay, now we're beginning to understand something. God is a king. I've shown you in His book that He said it, right? Okay, now follow me. There is one particular characteristics that kings have. This stuff is part of them. It's just part of them. And the stuff is, every king loves to extend their government. Did you get that? All kings loves to extend their government. They love to occupy territories. They love to invade and colonize territories. This is one characteristic of kings that I need to tell you, and you need to understand it. Alright? In this part of the world, West Africa, Nigeria, the Great Britain colonized this part of the world. You get it? Nigeria was once a colony of the Great Britain. And they didn't stop there. They colonized several other countries. Why? Because that is their characteristic. One characteristic of kings, they love to extend their government. They invade territories. They invade territories and colonize it. You know why? Because the glory of any king lies in the numbers or amount of territories that king or queen has colonized. I don't know if you got that. You want to know how wealthy a king is? don't look at his account balance. All you need to look at is the number of territories that king has under his authority, or that king has colonized. Are you getting this stuff? Okay, remember, God is a king. Now God wants to do what kings do. He's the very first king, so every other king's copied this stuff from him. Yeah, monarchy started from God. So he want to do what kings do, alright? He created the heavens. There were nowhere else to colonize. What did God do? He created another territory in order for him to colonize it, in order for him to extend his government, in order for him to extend his rulership. Oh man. What is the title of this podcast again? What if your capabilities exceed your perception? Alright, so then what did God do? He created a new territory and he named it Earth. Woo! Oh man. Why did God create Earth? Because he want to do what kings do. What do kings do? Kings love to extend their government. So God wanted to bring the government of heaven upon this planet. That's why he created the earth. He wants heaven to be just like earth. Or he wants earth to be just like heaven. That was why he created the earth. This stuff is a very deep one, and I want you to listen with your heart open. Because at the end of this series, you're going to discover who you are. And you will never take no insult. You will never take no mess from the devil after this episode or after this series is concluded. Because it is going to transform your life. I'm so interested in your transformation. That's all I want. I don't want you to live a miserable life. I don't want you to live a miserable life. No matter how much money you have in your account, if you don't know who you are, you are living a miserable life. Because it isn't all about the money. Satan keeps trying day by day to hinder you from discovering who you are. You know what he did? He used the government. Now the people are differentiated. He divided the people. He knows once there is no unity among them, they can never know how much stuff they can do. He knows once there is no unity among them, they won't function as they ought to. Because they won't love each other. That's why you started here, because you're not of my own party. You don't support my political party. Now you're my enemy. You started here. You're not in support of my club, my football club. You're my enemy. You started here. My favorite musician is not your favorite musician, so you're my enemy. That's Satan's handwork. Just to differentiate the people, make them feel like they're different, So heartbreaking, I tell you. Alright, are you still here? Okay, let's proceed. So, God created the earth in order to extend his government, the government of heaven, upon this planet. Alright? God created the earth in order to extend his government upon this planet. And, it's getting interesting. God actually had a lot of plans in mind. May I shock you? Everyone on this planet now, we're acting as if we are different. We're acting as if we don't have heart within us. We're acting as if some has 6 hands, some has 7 hands, some have 10 hands. You get it? Do you know all of us on this planet, including those ones who had died, all of us were once in God. Every one of us was once in God as a spiritual being that we are. All of us were once residing in God. Every one of us. Your teachers at school won't teach you this. And not many pastors or preachers knows this truth. And I tell you will never see this in the news. Because even if they know it, they wouldn't want you to know it. They want to hinder you from knowing who you are. That's why they created a lot of bad things. The government created a virus. And now, the ones who contacted the virus, the same government are going to put them behind the bars for contacting the virus they created. Poverty is a virus created by the government. And those ones who fell victim of poverty, some due to poverty, they go steal someone else's things. They do some stuffs like that. The government who created the virus is still going to put these guys behind the bar. They think that is going to solve the problem. Killing people who steal from other person, or doing or eliminating lives of people who do some bad things. It's not going to put an end to that evil deeds. It's not. They created the virus. Rather than them putting an end to the virus, they're basically putting an end to the victims. It's actually deep worse, I tell you. Okay, so in order for you to get this, I don't want to rush you, alright? We are going to break it into series, okay? And you have to listen all through in order for you to have a complete understanding. Alright, so we're going to pause here today, then we continue next Friday, okay? Just listen and listen over and over again. You're going to get something beautiful. Because I'm going to be revealing with your heart to you by the help of the Holy Spirit. I just want you to listen with your heart open, and don't be stingy with this episode. Share with your friends and families. Don't listen alone. Remember what I said at the beginning? In the beginning rather, if you're listening alone, then you are offending me, and I bet you don't want to offend me. Alright, thank you so very much for listening to this episode. It means a whole lot to me. Thank you. And thank you guys for always tuning into the Overcomers Show. I know you guys are feeling the amazing guests. Those guys are filled with a lot of amazing insight, I tell you. Oh man, thank you so very much, and God bless you. Don't forget, in Him we live, move, and have our being. Shalom.
Thank you for tuning in to this incredible episode. Your support means the world to us, and we truly value you. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.